track. Might be a little bit of a bonus that not everyone as well is quite up to speed there. They're still trying to work it out. It was only our second visit there, whereas somewhere like Brno, there will be riders who know this place well. It's an easier track to learn. It's got a lot more natural flow to it. So it might be a bit more difficult this weekend. But Cyvill in good form at the moment, 6th place in this session as well at the moment. We see Cormac Buchanan flick through. This is Ryusa Yamanaka. Ryusa Yamanaka's season is just not getting much better at all. He missed the points in the last 2 GP, 16th and 17th. He has missed qualifying 2 last time out as well. He was plumb last on the practice timesheets over in Hungary. So Ryusa Yamanaka, whatever's going on down there, he definitely needs to step it up a gear. Someone who doesn't need to step it up a gear as much though is David Almanza. He's had back-to-back pole positions. He's on for 3 in a row. That would be something rather spectacular. It is worth noting though that really Almanza's pace last time out, I think that was as close as we've seen him in the first 2 rounds. It's obviously been a bit of an injury hit season for him following up from that Goiânia crash, but I think last time out at Balaton Park when he was giving Max Giles a bit of a headache in the opening half of the race, it was the first time where we can say, yep, that's David Almanza that we saw back in Brno and back in Goiânia pre-injury.
Yeah, take performance of the weekend, to be honest, for David Almanza. Last time out in Hungary, okay, Quiles went on to win the race, but that was sort of to be expected going into the weekend. Almanza didn't do any training at all, was in hospital for 3 days leading up to the Hungarian Grand Prix. Of course, after sticking it on pole position over at Mugello, didn't have any time on the bike, then went out in practice and was quick out of the block straight away, first time at Balaton Park on the KTM as well. As Kiko mentioned, of course, stuck it on pole position and was the only rider really to get within touching distance of Quiles. Quiles ran away with it in the end, but Almanza was again well ahead of the chasing pack, fighting for the final podium spot. So I was really, really impressed with Almanza. He's gelled with that KTM and in the Money Dynamo Intact GP team superbly in 2026. Didn't have any doubts that Almanza would be a podium finisher and a race-winning contender this season, but I've got to say, I didn't expect him to be this fast, this quickly, and the injury troubles he has had, the illness he had, of course, a couple of weeks ago as well, meant that this season has been outstanding, to be honest, for the number 22, and sounds like he's pretty much fully fit now coming into the Czech Grand Prix, which is good to hear. So really intrigued and quite excited actually to see what the 22 can do and if he can take it once again to Quiles.
Indeed, and it's worth as well noting with Almanza that this is his first time, as it is for almost all the tracks that we go to now, his first time here with KTM, but the KTM was really the bike to be on around here. Last year I think the best Honda was only 6th, and that was Adrian Fernandez's teammate. Almanza was just behind that. So really the KTM is the package to be on, and as far as actual KTM to be on, if you're not on really the only Dynavolt one or the Red Bull IO or Tech 3 ones, then they're your 2 reference teams, let's say. They're your 2 teams that you look at them and they've got them all dialed in and sorted out. All more yellow flags. Where are they this time? We were going to turns 8 and 9, looking at Vader Patama. And our timing monitor, as you can see the graphic on the top of the screen, we have a yellow flag, and it's for Rico Salmela, but we're still awaiting confirmation on exactly where that is. I can tell you up here in commentary, we don't have any notification on our time speeds. Just get it down to turn 6. So Rico Salmela, just as we were singing his praises, I was found the sand pit rather early on, and unfortunately that's going to interrupt his session, which round here you really could do without. It's a long lap here. You're going to get less laps in a session than you normally would anywhere else, just by virtue of the fact that this is over 5 kilometres in length. It is a long old place.
It is. Apologies to Rico for singing his praises and then conducting the commentator's curse. A little one to start the weekend with, unfortunately. Tactics a bit of a weird one actually to crash out. You come out of 4, down the hill into turn 5, and the 6 is the right-hander before you then flick it left through 7 into the stadium section before we then power it down to turn 8. Don't really, from memory, recall too many riders going down at turn 6. Sam Ella was all okay, of course. We're going to get the replay on it here now. This is coming into the final couple of corners, turn 13 and 14. The last overtaking opportunity properly, you'd say, is turn 13, but we have seen races won and lost around the final corner at 14. A couple of different lines. It's where Quiles actually finished ahead of David Bunyov last year, getting sort of a wider sweeping line coming through the final corner and getting the power down to the line. Famously, of course, the Jorge Lorenzo, Danny Pedrosa battle, I remember, coming into the final 2 quarters as well. When was that? 2012, I think it was. Yeah, great end to the lap coming up the hill into the final couple of corners. I mean, as we mentioned, it's just a phenomenal circuit. I love actually the viewpoint we get coming out of turn 1 into turn 2 when they flick it over the curves and power it into the forest down into turn 3. I do love that section. But yeah, Sam Ella looking all okay, thankfully. Not seen anything on PD either, so a couple of early crashes for a couple of front runners in MOTO3.
Just having a look at Scott Ogden. Points last time out, 11th place at the checkered flag. He was 14th at Mugello, so he's on for 3 consecutive point scoring finishes. That'll be the first time since last year in the flyaways, the Phillip Island round, as well as Sepang and Portimao, by my reckoning. So it might not be outstanding results by Ogden, but points do make prizes, and he'll be hoping that he can at least work his way up towards the top 10 this weekend. Ogden, of course, back here for a second year running, knows the place well, and particularly after his teammate Adrian Cruces took that 6th place last week in Hungary, there will be a little bit of pressure moving on to Scott Ogden. By virtue of, he's been in that team now, this is what will be his 2nd year, he's racked up plenty of Moto3 starts. Adrian Cruces is a rookie and is already up in the top 6. More yellow flags at the minute, so can't quite see where that is again. But Scott Ogden's working his way through the penultimate exit. Oh, it's on the exit of the final corner, and it's Matteo Bertelli who has managed to find the limits of the track, and I think that might went quite a long way. So the final corner has caught out its first rider, and this time it's Matteo Bertelli who is down and out. So the yellow flags are out in that final sector, so Ogden's lap will go away from it.
Yeah, fortunate for Bertelli, and you can see the yellow flags waving there in the background as Ogden thinks his lap, but that will rightly get chalked off. Just trying to see if I think Bertelli is just slowly getting back up to his feet. Again, a final corner crash. Don't really see that too often either.
Yeah, I can't think of almost any crash here, but at least only one rider. I remember back in 2009 we had Mika Kallio usurping, could have been Nicky Hayden or Marco Melandri in the final corner when he was on the factory Ducati replacing Casey Stoner for a while. That's good to see. Matteo Bertelli, no need for a stretcher, at least for now. The Italian's up on his feet. Oh dear. Out the front door and landing hard as well. Matteo Bertelli, he got some big airtime there. And the Italian who had a huge injury last year via a training accident, I've got to say that's probably his first big get-off post-big accident. So Matteo Bertelli, who at the moment is down in 16th place, walks off very, very gingerly, but that was a very early high side, very, very unusual.
Oh yeah, that chucked him over the top, didn't it? Thankfully, he is up on his feet, understandably so, walking pretty gingerly and looking a bit beaten up. Still, yellow flags at that final corner, which is understandable because Bertelli and the marshals and the motorcycle are still getting to the side of the circuit. Hopefully, Bertelli can potentially get back out for the final 15 minutes, maybe in around 10 minutes time, or just get a couple of laps on the board to try and loosen up ahead of practice later on this afternoon. But the main thing is he's all okay because that was a big.
The other thing as well is on the outside of the track there, you've got to go under the tunnel to get back into the paddock and pit lane side. So Matteo Bertelli, far from ideal. A couple of movers and shakers up inside the top 10 at the moment. Jesus Rios and Marcus Curiate, but I was just about to say, I'm fairly sure they would have set their laps on the yellow flags, and they do have them chalked off, but a couple of impressive laps, at least for a few seconds from Rios and Curiate. Marcus Curiate up in 8th place, it's got to be said now. Very, very impressive stuff from the number 88, who is, as we said earlier, replacing David Munoz at least for this weekend, and until Munoz is back with us, back fit and strong. But straight away up inside the top 8 and ahead of his cousin as well, so bragging rights within the family.
Yeah, qualified 10th here, crossed the line in 11th place as well, so has experience around here on the KTM as well as Uriarte. But no, very impressive. He was, of course, deputising for Munoz over in, sorry, was it Munoz or Almanza? I think it was Munoz.
Neither were there.
So yeah, he was the only intact GP rider. So it was both of them. They can't ride both bikes, of course, but he was the only intact GP rider over in Austin and finished in the points there as well. So he's already got points on the board as a replacement rider this year as Uriarte, and he's put his name on the table for a full-time job. Absolutely, next season if he continues to do this, coming in for standing rides and you're putting yourself inside that top 10, it's going to raise some eyebrows.
I'll say that, was the 88 back in Kota? I don't think so.
I might note it down as 89 back in.
Yeah, I have it down as 88. Oh, that's all they know. Answers on the postcard, preferably on a tweet though, it's a bit quicker. Mark Uriarte, number 88 then, in 8th place at the moment. Jesus Rios going very well at the minute. This is a nice little run that Jesus Rios is putting together at the moment. Rios there in 7th place. He's the second Honda in the leaderboard at the moment. John Kelso is the top one for Michael Laverty's with M11 team up there in B4. Rios got out a little bit sideways on down towards turn 13, but anchored it up nicely. Coming through the final, let's see what Rios has got great reference in Marco Morelli. Morelli's going to take the line first. He's third at the moment. Does go P1. Rios goes fourth. So 206.180 for Marco Morelli. Some 64,000 there to his teammate. It is in that swell on 2. Sticks down MOTO3 FP1 with 13 minutes on the clock. Just behind them, Hakim Gadij. Rios, as we said there, in fourth. And Kelso in fifth. Carpe Peroni, Uriarte, Marcus Uriarte, Brian Uriarte, and then Adrian Cruz is completely top.
Yeah, good stuff for Pirelli then. Mentioned previously, did make his MotoGP debut here last year on that Honda, ran wide at turn 1 over in Mallison Park, which cost him a chance of properly getting into the podium mix, but was pretty pleased, I think, with his race. Was Marco Morelli, and just said he did get a great start, but ran slightly wide at turn 1. He actually said, I'd lost my bearings going to turn 1. He wasn't the only rider to do that. It's got to be said, and that affected his whole race. Basically, we know that the Peloton Park circuit is quite a tricky one to overtake at, and if you're in a group and you've all got a similar pace, you've got to make some pretty aggressive moves to try and pick your way through the order. But he did a decent job of that, did Morelli, and finished P7 over the line, 107 points record so far in 2026. Really consistent in terms of the points. If you look at the championship standings, it suggests that Morelli has been a little bit inconsistent, but I don't think that is the case. He's always been quick, Morelli. I think he just needs to iron out a couple of things that basically the starts of the races are over the Catalan Grand Prix, and of course in Jerez as well, when he reeled in the chasers, the leaders. At the end of the race, Marco Morelli is absolutely superb, arguably as good as anyone on the grid at this moment in time, but the start of the race is where Morelli is struggling a little bit so far this season, but he's chipping away at things, and he's having a quietly impressive season on the Aspar 97. Of course, a lot of the limelight has been stolen, rightly so, by his teammate Maximo Quiles, so that's probably helping Morelli as well. But third in the championship, 93 points away from Quiles, but a couple of podiums already so far this season. Brazil, of course, most famous when he was really challenging Quiles and actually looked a little bit quicker. Quiles did well actually to hold Marco Morelli off, but yeah, I've been impressed with Morelli so far this season, and it just needs to have a clean getaway, clean opening laps, and get himself in that sort of top 5, top 6 mix, and then I really think Morelli can have a proper go at winning the Grand Prix very soon.
Morelli's sequence since Guyana, we touched on this last time out, has been top 10, no top 10, top 10, no top 10. And that carried on last time out. He was 13th in Mugello and then 7th last time out in the Grand Prix in Hungary. So you get the feeling that with Morelli, it's not so much his inconsistency, it's about ironing out the differences in where he's finishing. He needs to be way more consistent in that top 10. He needs to really put in a solid, season-long, sustained charge, finishing third overall. Of course, he's still well within mathematical contention for the title, but I don't think anyone's expecting that in his first proper rookie season that he can fight for the title. We're looking at Zen Matani, who is down in 24th place at the moment. Did take points. Now, now in 2026, courtesy of John Fernandez's disqualification. I make it it would have been in Guyana, where that has come in, and likewise in Le Mans. So a couple of points on the board for Zen Batani. This is his first time here though at Brno. I mean, the track is perhaps not the most complicated to learn. I think it's a lot easier to learn than, say, Mugello, but it's pretty difficult to be mega consistent all the way through the race, because there's a few corners with a few bumps, there's a few undulations, and also passing's not at a premium. You can make good, easy passes around here. The problem is if you're in a big group, then it's a little bit hard to defend against that, so you don't want to be shuffled back down the field either.
Yeah, Tony explained that the Balaton Park circuit last time out was arguably his most difficult weekend of the season. Riders were saying that Balaton Park going there for the first time. I know Jacob Forster in Moto3 was saying this as well, that it's a very difficult circuit to learn and be quick at straight away. There's so many stop and go corners, so many braking turns you've got to get right. It's just a patchy circuit at times. So I think, yeah, coming to a circuit like Brno, it must be, not speaking from experience of course, but it must be a bit more fun to ride, fast and flowing, and you can sort of get to grips with it a little bit quicker than when you're constantly having to be hard on the anchors and then on the gas and then hard on the anchors again. You can sort of get into a nice flow around a circuit like this, and we're seeing Marco Morelli in a nice flow now. I'm not going to go P1 as things stand on this lap. It's a nice little run coming together for the Argentine.
A lot of the riders were saying that over in Balaton there is no reference. It's very hard to get into a stride, it's very hard to build a rhythm. The track is pretty featureless, there's not really any natural reference, whereas here you can't move for natural references. There's trees, there's curving, there's different approaches into corners. They're downhill, some are uphill, some are straight line braking, others are long right-handers. This is the Schwantz corner at the very bottom at turn 10. You go down and then back up, and this starts that massive climb, and there's always a reference all the way around here at Brno. One of the easier tracks to learn. We have seen a few riders take their first win here at Brno over the course of the years. Most notably in 1996, a chap called Valentino Rossi doing it in 125cc class. But since then we've had a few more. So Brno is probably one of the easy ones to learn by the force that you've just got so much more natural flow, and there are a lot more references to try and help you learn this track. Morelli goes across the line, doesn't improve his time. John Lesterman's going gangbusters here with just under 7 minutes to go. Comes up through the penultimate chicane at 11 and 12. He's a 10th under what Marco Morelli was able to do. Good to see Joel Esteban back on the pace, because he was a little bit missing in Hungary. 20th on the grid, 13th in the GP. That's not really where we expected Joel Kelso to be. His qualifying needs to improve as well. And two of the last 4 GPs, he's missed the Q2. So gotta say that Joel Esteban maybe needs to iron out qualifying, and because when he does, he's quick in the race as well.
Yeah, Esteban has been a little bit inconsistent, hasn't he? He got caught out in that turn 2 drama, let's say, between his teammate and Guido Pini. That shoved him into